Video 21, Part 10b of 25, Inputs to the Estimate Activity Durations Process. The purpose of this video is to develop a WBS to present the inputs to the Estimate Activity Durations Process. The Estimate Activity Durations Process is the fourth process in the Project Schedule Management knowledge area and is related to the Planning Process group. Please click the like button. Subscribe to my channel and share with others. Thank you. The first input to the Estimate Activity Durations process is the Project Management Plan. The Project Management Plan is a critical input to the Estimate Activity Durations process in the PMBOK. It provides essential guidance and constraints that influence how activity durations are estimated. Here's why the Project Management Plan is so important to the Estimate Activity Durations process. 1. Schedule Management Plan. The Project Management Plan defines the methodology, tools, and accuracy levels required for estimating durations. The Project Management Plan specifies whether estimates should be in hours, days, or weeks in the acceptable range, such as plus or minus 10% for preliminary estimates. 2. Scope Baseline, which includes the Scope Statement, WBS and WBS Dictionary. The Project Management Plan provides detailed deliverables and work packages, helping to ensure that all activities are considered. The Project Management Plan clarifies assumptions and constraints that can affect duration estimates, such as regulatory deadlines and resource limitations. 3. Resource Management Plan. The Project Management Plan identifies resource availability, skills, and calendars, which directly impact activity durations. The Project Management Plan helps determine whether resources are internal or external, full-time or part-time, or subject to constraints. 4. Risk Management Plan. The Project Management Plan highlights known risks that can affect activity durations, such as supply chain delays and weather conditions. The Project Management Plan may require contingency reserves to be added to estimates. 5. Cost Management Plan. The Project Management Plan influences whether cost constraints affect the schedule, such as overtime costs versus extended timelines. 6. Project Team Assignments and Stakeholder Engagement Plan. The Project Management Plan provides insight into team experience and productivity, which impacts the accuracy of estimates. The Project Management Plan identifies stakeholder expectations that may impose time constraints. How can a poor Project Management Plan analysis harm the PMBOK Estimate Activity Durations process? Poor analysis or inadequate consideration of the Project Management Plan can significantly harm the Estimate Activity Durations process in PMBOK, leading to unrealistic schedules, cost overruns, and project failures. The reasons are given below. 1. Inaccurate or unrealistic duration estimates. First, missing scope baseline details. If the WBS or scope statement is poorly analyzed, critical activities may be omitted, leading to underestimated timelines. For example, we may have a situation where regulatory approvals are not accounted for because they have not been properly documented in the scope. Second, ignoring constraints and assumptions. Unidentified constraints, such as limited equipment availability, can lead to overly optimistic estimates. 2. Resource conflicts and bottlenecks. First, poor resource management plan analysis. Misjudging team availability, skill levels, or equipment shortages can cause delays. For example, we may have a situation where a senior developer is assumed to be available full-time when he or she is only 50% of the project allocated. Third, unaccounted dependencies. If the schedule management plan is not reviewed properly, logical sequences such as finish to start, start to start, and finish to finish dependencies may be ignored, leading to rework. 3. Failure to incorporate risk buffers. First, weak risk management plan integration. Without analyzing known risks, the team may fail to add contingency reserves, resulting in unrealistic deadlines. For example, we may have a situation where potential supplier delays are not considered in a construction project. Second, overlooking historical data, such as lessons learned. If previous project performance is not reviewed, similar estimation errors will be repeated. 4. Misalignment with stakeholder expectations. First, ignoring the stakeholder engagement plan. If key stakeholders' time expectations, such as a fixed release date, are not considered, the schedule may be rejected. Second, unrealistic reporting requirements. Poor analysis of the communications management plan can lead to excessive progress reporting, wasting time. 5. Compliance and quality issues. First, neglecting the quality management plan. We may have a situation where testing, review, or inspections are ignored in estimates because they were not emphasized in the PMP. For example, we may have a situation where QA time is reduced to meet a deadline, leading to defects. Second, regulatory non-compliance. If compliance milestones, such as safety certifications, are not considered, the project faces legal risks. 6. Cost overruns due to rushed work. Poor cost management plan analysis. Underestimating deadlines can lead to work stoppages or overtime, increasing costs. In conclusion, here is why the project management plan is important. First, the project management plan ensures consistency by aligning duration estimates with overall project objectives. Second, the project management plan reduces guesswork. Structured plans, such as the schedule management plan, provide a repeatable estimation approach. Third, the project management plan supports realism. Constraints, such as resource availability, prevent overly optimistic estimates. Now, if we do not consider the project management plan, duration estimates can be inaccurate, inconsistent, or unrealistic, and we can have the following real-world consequences. First, project delays. Activities take longer than planned due to overlooked dependencies or resources. Second, budget overruns. We can have rework, overtime, and penalties for missed deadlines. Third, stakeholder dissatisfaction. We may have missed milestones, leading to loss of confidence. Fourth, project failure. Extreme cases result in cancellation, such as Boston's Big Dig, due to poor estimation. As a final message, we can say that the project management plan ensures that estimates are data-driven, aligned with project constraints, and derived systematically, all essential to effective schedule development. The second input to the estimate activity durations process is the project documents. This is why the input of project documents info is very important to the estimate activity durations process in project management. 1. Historical data, such as lessons learned and records from previous projects. Project documents assist in performing analogous estimates, such as top-down estimates, by comparing current activities to similar past projects. Project documents provide insight into realistic schedules and potential risks. 2. Project team knowledge and expert judgment. Project documents assist in providing input from the team, such as subject matter experts, refine estimates based on experience. Project documents assist in providing feedback from stakeholders, ensuring alignment with realistic expectations. 3. Assumptions and constraints record. Project documents identify factors that could speed up or delay activities, such as resource availability and regulatory approvals. 4. Risk register. Project documents highlight potential delays, such as supply chain risks and weather impacts, that should be considered in duration estimates. 5. Calendars and resource requirements. Project documents help determine realistic schedules based on resource availability, such as part-time versus full-time team members. 6. Attributes and activity list. Project documents provide detailed descriptions of activities, aiding in bottom-up estimation, such as breaking work into smaller tasks for greater accuracy. How can an inadequate review of project documents harm the estimate activity durations process? Here's how an inadequate review of project documents can significantly harm the estimate activity durations process, leading to inaccurate schedules, unidentified risks, and project failures. 1. Inaccurate or ignored historical data. Ignoring records from previous project, such as lessons learned and historical durations, can lead to repeating past mistakes. This can result in overly optimistic estimates, such as assuming a task will take 5 days based on intuition when historical data shows it took 10. 2. Misjudged dependencies and constraints. Failing to review the assumptions log or dependency matrix can leave critical constraints, such as a supplier's lead time, unaccounted for. This can result in unrealistic schedules, such as not accounting for a 2-week delay in material delivery. 3. Unaccounted risks. Inadequate analysis of the risk register means that delays due to known risks, such as permit approvals and weather conditions, are not considered. This can result in unexpected bottlenecks, such as a high-risk activity running out of buffer time, causing cascading delays. 4. Resource misalignment. Failure to review resource calendars or skill requirements can lead to the assumption of full-time availability when resources are shared. This can result in overloaded teams or idle time, such as a critical engineer only being available 50% of the time. 5. Ambiguous activity details. Weak activity attributes or WBS descriptions lead to vague understanding of scope. This can result in underestimated effort, such as develop feature taking 3 days, but hidden subtasks extending it to 10. 6. Poor stakeholder communication. Ignoring stakeholder input or expert judgments documented in the project files. This can result in unrealistic deadlines set by leadership without team support, leading to burnout or rework. In conclusion, we can say that information from project documents is crucial as it ensures that estimates are realistic, data-driven, and risk-aware, directly influencing the project schedule and success. Without project documents, we can have the following impacts from missing or inaccurate documents. First, overestimating or underestimating durations can lead to schedule delays or inefficient use of resources. Second, increasing project risk can lead to unforeseen delays due to overlooked constraints, dependencies. Without project documents, we can have some real-world consequences such as, first, schedule overruns can lead to missed deadlines, contractual penalties. Second, cost overruns can lead to rushed work and overtime. Third, team frustration can lead to low morale due to unrealistic expectations. Fourth, project failure can lead to the collapse of the entire project if critical path activities are underestimated. The third input to the estimate activity durations process is enterprise environmental factors. Enterprise environmental factors are internal and external conditions that can influence the development of duration estimates. Their importance lies in providing real-world constraints and enablers that shape the accuracy and feasibility of activity duration estimates. Here are the key enterprise environmental factors that impact estimate activity durations. 1. Organizational culture and structure. First, availability of historical data, such as records of previous project and lessons learned. Second, maturity of estimating practices, such as standardized models and databases. 2. Resource availability and capability. First, experience, skill levels, and availability of the workforce, whether internal or contracted. Second, availability of equipment, materials, and infrastructure. 3. Commercial databases and market conditions. First, industry benchmarks, such as average productivity rates for construction and software development. Second, supplier lead times, material costs, and labor rates. 4. Geographical and regulatory factors. First, local laws, weather conditions, and working hours affecting productivity. Second, time zone differences on global projects. 5. Project management software and tools. First, scheduling tools, such as Primavera and Microsoft Project, that incorporate historical data. Second, AI-based estimation tools or parametric modeling capabilities. How can a poor enterprise environmental factors analysis harm the PMBOK estimate activity durations process? An inadequate analysis of enterprise environmental factors in the PMBOK estimate activity durations process can lead to significant project risks, including unrealistic schedules, cost overruns, and even project failure. Here are some ways in which inadequate consideration of enterprise environmental factors can harm the process. 1. Inaccurate duration estimates. First, lack of historical data. If past project records or industry benchmarks are ignored, estimates may be based on assumptions rather than evidence. Second, ignoring workforce skills. Underestimating the impact of inexperienced teams can lead to overly optimistic schedules. 2. Unrealistic schedules and missed deadlines. First, resource constraints. Failure to account for limited personnel, equipment, or materials can result in delays when resources are not available. Second, regulatory delays. Ignoring permitting or compliance requirements can cause unexpected delays. 3. Budget overruns due to rushed work. First, market conditions. Ignoring inflation, supply chain delays, or supplier lead times can force expensive last-minute purchases. Second, overtime costs. Unrealistic estimates can require excessive overtime, increasing labor costs. 4. Increased project risks and failures. First, geographical and environmental factors. Failure to account for weather, time zones, or remote work challenges can derail schedules. Second, stakeholder dissatisfaction. If estimates are repeatedly wrong due to inadequate analysis of enterprise environmental factors, confidence in the project team erodes. 5. Poor risk management and contingency planning. First, underestimating external dependencies. If third-party vendors or government approvals are not considered, delays multiply. Second, disregarding organizational culture. A slow decision-making bureaucracy can stall progress if not considered. We conclude that enterprise environmental factors are critical inputs to the estimate activity durations process because they ensure that estimates are based on the actual operating environment rather than theoretical assumptions. Why are enterprise environmental factors important? First, they provide realistic constraints, such as limited resources and legal requirements. Second, they help leverage historical data for more accurate estimates. Third, they influence assessment of risks, such as delays due to external dependencies. Ignoring enterprise environmental factors can lead to unrealistic schedules and project delays. A poor enterprise environmental factors analysis in estimate activity durations leads to unreliable schedules, financial losses, and project failures. A real-world example is that a construction project that ignores local weather patterns may schedule outdoor work during the monsoon season, leading to massive delays. Similarly, a software project that fails to consider team time zone differences may underestimate coordination delays. A solid understanding of environmental factors ensures realistic and achievable schedules and better project outcomes. The fourth input to the estimate activity durations process is the organizational process assets. Here's why the organizational process assets input is so important to the estimate activity durations process in project management. 1. Historical data and lessons learned. First, records from previous projects, such as actual durations of similar activities, help make estimates more accurate. Second, lessons learned from previous projects highlight potential pitfalls or best practices. 2. Estimation techniques and templates. First, organizations often have standardized methods, such as analogous, parametric, and three-point estimating, that teams must follow. Second, predefined templates or tools, such as duration estimation worksheets, streamline the process. 3. Organizational policies and guidelines. First, some companies require specific margins, such as contingency reserves, or require certain estimation approaches. Second, compliance with organizational standards ensures consistency across projects. 4. Commercial databases and industry benchmarks. First, organizational process assets may include access to industry-specific productivity metrics, such as construction rates and software development velocities. 5. Calendars and resource availability. First, organizational work calendars, such as holidays and working hours, directly impact duration estimates. Second, resource productivity norms, such as average daily production, influence time calculations. How can a poor organizational process assets analysis harm the estimate activity durations process? Here's how a poor analysis of organizational process assets can significantly harm the estimate activity durations process, leading to inaccurate schedules, project delays, and cost overruns. 1. Inaccurate or unrealistic estimates. First, lack of historical data. Without records of previous projects, such as actual activity durations, teams may rely on assumptions, leading to overly optimistic or pessimistic estimates. Second, ignoring lessons learned. Repeating past mistakes, such as underestimating testing phases in software projects, due to poor documentation of previous failures. 2. Inconsistent estimation methods. First, ad hoc techniques. If standardized organizational methods, such as parametric or three-point estimating, are not applied, estimates can vary greatly among team members. Second, no benchmarking. Without industry or internal productivity metrics, such as coding takes X hours per function point, estimates lack credibility. 3. Unaccounted organizational constraints. First, work calendars ignored. Ignoring company holidays, shift patterns, or resource availability can lead to unrealistic schedules, such as estimating work on the day the company closes. Second, policy violations. Lack of necessary reserves, such as contingency reserves, can result in project plan rejections or audit failures. 4. Resource misalignment. First, productivity assumptions. Assuming generic productivity rates, such as 1 widget per day, without organizational data may not reflect actual team performance. Second, skill gaps. Failure to analyze past skill-based delays, such as junior versus senior developer productivity, leads to inaccurate effort estimates. 5. Increased risk exposure. First, no contingency baseline. If historical responses to risks, such as typical procurement delays, are not considered, the schedule may not have adequate protections. Second, supplier-stakeholder errors. Previous issues with external dependencies, such as supplier lead times, may reoccur if not documented. In conclusion, organizational process assets provide critical support for realistic and consistent duration estimates by leveraging past experiences, standardized methods, and organizational guidelines. Their contributions increase the accuracy and efficiency of the project scheduling. It is important to be aware of the impact of ignoring organizational process assets. First, inaccurate estimates. Without historical data, estimates can be overly optimistic or pessimistic. Second, inconsistent processes. Teams may use ad hoc methods, leading to unreliable schedules. Third, unmet organizational standards. Non-compliance with policies could result in rejected plans or audits. With a poor organizational process assets analysis, we can have real-world consequences such as: first, schedule overruns. Poor estimates force rushed work or missed deadlines. Second, budget overruns. Longer durations increase labor and maintenance costs. Third, stakeholder distrust. Inconsistent planning erodes confidence in the project management office or team. For example, a construction company ignoring past weather-related delays in organizational process assets may fail to account for seasonal disruptions, leading to unrealistic completion dates. Finishing this video, we will have in the next videos: 1. Creation of WBS for different projects using WBS Schedule Pro. 2. Examples of project plans using MS Project. And many other videos. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video and want us to continue with new topics. Subscribe to the channel. All content is free. You can also comment suggesting topics you would like to see on this channel. Thank you.